The Vegas Golden Knights have lost 5 in a row and just finished up a road trip that did not see them win a single game. The season seems to be slipping away, and the Golden Knights are in very real danger of missing the playoffs. We'll get into what's gone wrong in Vegas coming right up. Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking at the Vegas Golden Knights, who are just slipping in the standings right now, in very serious danger of dropping out of the playoffs and having a really tough last few weeks. And this is a team that back at the beginning of the season had such high hopes, was a team that was in the Final Four last year. So many thought was once again going to be a contender, but right now look like anything but, as things have gone really bad for the Vegas Golden Knights. And we're going to take a look here at a few different things and see, can this team get it turned around in time to still make the playoffs? Or are they going to lose themselves right out of the playoff picture in the Western Conference, which honestly, they are getting somewhat close to doing. So first off, to start here, want to take a look at the NHL standings, the wild card race, where Vegas is at right now in the West. So let's take a look here at the Western Conference. They have now been passed by Edmonton for that third spot in the Pacific Division, the last guaranteed playoff spot in the division. So Calgary, LA, and Edmonton now are all ahead of Vegas, and Vegas is currently barely holding on to that second wild card spot with 68 points through 62 games. And look out, because there are a bunch of teams coming for that spot after them. The Dallas Stars currently are just 1 point back with 67 points. The big thing, though, is games played. They have 4 games in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights. Got to imagine Dallas would win at least one of those games, and there you go, Vegas is out of the playoffs. Vancouver, who has 1 game in hand over Vegas, is now just 1 point back of the Golden Knights. So if Vancouver wins that game, boom, they take Vegas's spot. Winnipeg, through 61 games, has 66 points. They just destroyed the Golden Knights 7-3 last night. They're just 2 points back of Vegas now with a game in hand. And then Anaheim, who's still, I guess, somewhat in it, is just 3 points back. However, they've played 63 games, so Vegas actually has the game in hand on them. Anaheim at this point is not going to make the playoffs. They are going to end up outside looking in. They're struggling right now as well, almost as much as Vegas is. Actually, just as much as Vegas is, really. So it's really Winnipeg, Vancouver, and Dallas that are coming to take that playoff spot from the Golden Knights. They are all within 1 or 2 points of the Golden Knights, and they all have at least 1 game in hand. So Vegas is in some serious trouble here when you look at the standings and you look at that race. And then you look at what they've done. 3-7 in their last 10 games, and they've lost 5 in a row. They're not doing themselves any favors. They are not doing themselves any favors. This is a team that, even if they were just 5-5 in their last 10 instead of 3-7, would be in a significantly better position than what they are right now. And if they had 2 more wins, they would actually still be ahead of the Oilers. So this losing streak has really hurt the Golden Knights, and they are making it really tough on themselves here as far as trying to make the playoffs. So, here's some overall stats for Vegas. This isn't just this last 5-game losing streak for the Golden Knights that's really hurt them. This is from February 1st on here. Their statistics from February 1st on. So, we're looking at a good 6.5 weeks now. At least a solid last 6 weeks of play for Vegas. 17 games played. They are just 6-10-1 in those 17 games. They've only gained 13 points over their last 17 games, and an abysmal point percentage of just .382. That is absolutely brutal. And that's ultimately, a stretch like that over 6 weeks could ultimately cost this team a spot in the playoffs. They're certainly not out of it yet, but they've got to turn things around really quickly. Because if this continues, what they're doing right here, they're going to be in big trouble, and they're probably going to be on the outside looking in come May when the playoffs are going on. We look at their goals for here, just 2.47 goals for per game since February 1st for the Golden Knights, and a terrible 3.24 goals against per game. They are giving up way more goals than they are scoring right now. Obviously, that's leading to them losing a lot of games. And their special teams have also been pretty darn bad. Power play percentage is all the way down at 13.3% on the power play. That is awful. It's actually better for them to not get power plays than actually get chances on the power play. And their penalty kill is also not very good at just 77.8% in that span over the last 17 games. So it's not just this last losing streak that is costing the Golden Knights. This has really kind of been a building over the last 6 weeks. And from February 1st through now, they have not been very good. And that is a big problem for Vegas here, without a doubt. And finally, last thing I want to look at here is their schedule. I mean, here's March. They started the month on a good note with a win over the Sharks. Then they lost to the Bruins in a tough game. But then they bounced right back from that and beat Anaheim. And then they won again against Ottawa. And they actually had a pretty decent start to the month, going 3-1 in their first 4 games. Unfortunately, though, since then, they're 0-5. They embarked on a road trip to the East Coast, played Philadelphia, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh and Columbus, lost all 4 of those games. Last night, they just played against Winnipeg on the way, headed back home, and they got absolutely trounced 7-3 by a team that is below them in the standings, chasing them for that wild card spot, trying to take their place in the standings. You would think that the Golden Knights would have a little bit more fight in them than that, and nope, they get absolutely destroyed 7-3 by Winnipeg. And their schedule coming up and really the rest of the way is not beneficial for the Golden Knights, to say the least. They're currently on a 5-game losing streak. Their first game back at home is against the Florida Panthers, one of the best teams in the entire NHL, and a team that is going to want to, go in there and keep this losing streak going, a team that's going to be very difficult to beat for the Golden Knights. They have to play Florida. Then they have to play LA, a team that is in the playoffs, ahead of them in the standings, and quite frankly, flat out better than them this year. LA on Saturday is not going to be an easy game either. Then they have to go back out on the road to the Central Division and play Minnesota and Winnipeg back-to-back. In the Central Division is a division that they have really, really struggled against this year. Vegas has not done well against Central teams. And this second game against Winnipeg is against the team that just destroyed you 7-3 a week before. And they have to go out and play them again. That is not going to be good here. I mean, this could potentially end up a 9-game losing streak for the Golden Knights. I could realistically see them losing all 4 of these upcoming games. Then they head back home, and they've got more games against the Central Division, who they haven't played well against this year. They've got a team that's better than them coming in Nashville, who is ahead of them in the standings and is in a playoff spot. Then they have a very winnable game against Chicago, but yet again, Central Division, not necessarily going to be easy. But they play Chicago on Saturday afternoon, the 26th, and then they have a few days off before finishing up March with a game at Seattle, which again, somewhat of a winnable game. But this stretch here, I mean, their next 5 games coming up: Florida, playoff team; LA, playoff team; Winnipeg, playoff team; Minnesota, playoff team; Winnipeg, playoff team; Nashville, playoff team. Their next 5 games are all against playoff teams that are better than the Vegas Golden Knights. And they're already on a 5-game losing streak. I mean, this could get really ugly here for Vegas going forward. And then they got a couple winnable games to close out the month against Chicago and Seattle, but they may be in big trouble before they even get to that Chicago or Seattle game. And their month of October or April isn't much better, as they've got Seattle again. And then they've got Vancouver back-to-back, home and home with the Canucks. Canucks are a team that's right behind them in the standings, as we talked about earlier, chasing them for that wild card spot. And they have to play Arizona. Then they play Vancouver again. They have to go out to Alberta to play Calgary and Edmonton. 2 really tough games there. Then they close out the season with a road trip to the Central Division, where they haven't played well this year. Dallas, Chicago, and St. Louis to finish out the year. They've been bad against the Central Division, so the season doesn't end on a good note either for the Golden Knights. These 3 games against Vancouver are absolutely huge. These 3 games may very well decide if Vegas or Vancouver goes to the playoffs, and maybe if one of them doesn't. I mean, those games are absolutely monstrous here coming up at the beginning of April. But all in all, the schedule ahead for the Vegas Golden Knights is not an easy one, and they are already in a lot of trouble. I'm honestly very concerned about Vegas's playoff chances at this point. Looking at that upcoming schedule, all the tough games against tough teams that they have, man, they better hope that Vancouver starts losing and that Winnipeg starts losing and that Dallas continues their little slide that they're on right now, because if not, Vegas is going to be passed in the standings very, very quickly. And obviously, this last stretch has certainly not helped, but this has been something that's been brewing for a lot longer than just this 5-game road trip. This is something that really, since February 1st, the Golden Knights have not played well. They've been an under 500 team by a pretty significant amount, and they are going down, 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 down in the standings with each passing game. And they're in very real danger at this point. Very real danger of missing the playoffs. So we're going to have to wait and see if Vegas can quickly get things turned around here and try and get themselves back in the right direction, back winning some games and securing a playoff spot. Or if this continues like it has for the past few weeks, this team is going to be on the outside looking in. And not very many people expected that from the Vegas Golden Knights this year. It would be a major disappointment if they miss the postseason. But it's a very real possibility at this point. So that's what I've got on the Vegas Golden Knights, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. And with that, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our merchandise store, membership, and donation links are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you again. Really, really appreciate you all watching, and talk to you soon.